Hey everyone, welcome to episode 7 of the Good People Podcast. And today you're in for a special treat. We have the Jessica Meno from Essel Skilled Trades. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. Well, we appreciate you taking some time from pounding the pavement and grinding it out like you have been. So for those of you that don't know, you are obviously on the Essel team
I
and you
am.
are coming up on 3 big months, which is a big milestone here at Essel. And I thought it would be great to have people learn from you, for you to have you share your story. So for those of you that haven't had a chance to meet you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you ended up here.
Obviously, and I'm new to Sacramento. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. So
Nice.
before coming here, I've actually worked in the construction field for a little while. I also used to be in telemarketing as well as like phone sales. So a little bit
Yeah.
different from what we're doing now, but I like that I'm still in the construction field. I never thought I'd say
Nice.
that. However, I did miss it a little bit.
Sweet. So telemarketing, construction, two kind of totally different worlds. Talk to
Yeah.
me about how you ended up at the first one.
So originally, I started off in roofing. So one of my good
Okay.
friends, he started his own business. He had no employees. He said, "Hey, Jess, I need help." I said, "Never done it before, but let's go." So I'm like, "I'm a quick learner. We can figure it out." So I started
Yeah.
off as a ground guy, worked my way up as a roofer, carrying bundles around, shingling, and then eventually end up being a foreman. So I
Wow.
went through the whole process of it all and I loved it. But then 4 years of that, I ended it, went and I moved and I ended up doing phone sales, telemarketing, which is not
Okay.
for everybody. Not everybody can deal with talking to hundreds of people in a day. However, I kind
Right.
of like it. So I was like, all right, let's try it. If I don't like it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started doing credit repair, which was more inbound calls, and dollar
Nice.
sales, which was all outbound calls. So a little bit of different kind
Okay.
of cold calling throughout each department there, but it was fun time.
Nice. So credit repair, solar sales, and roofing.
Yes.
Now, obviously, roofing, elevations, things like that. So you weren't scared of heights or anything like
No, I
that, huh?
love them. They're so much fun.
And hopefully they use fall protection out there in
Yes, you
Pennsylvania.
have to have your safety. You have to have everything you need. PPE is very important no matter where you're at on your job site. So your boots, your hard hat, your vest, everything, you need it.
Nice. So, question for you on the credit repair side. That's obviously you were there for a while. For those of our viewers that are like, I wonder what the main takeaways were from you in that industry. What were some of the biggest things? If you had a buddy of yours be like, Jessica, how can I repair my credit?
Well,
Like, what's the
my
one or two
advice
you would
is
tell them
do
right
not
out?
let your credit go that way first. You don't want to get to that point. It's very expensive. However, you can do it on your
Yeah,
own. You just have to have the
yeah.
knowledge behind it. But it's different. It's fun, but very involved at the same time.
Okay. So obviously, with us, you are taking on the Sacramento region, and we call it
Yeah.
Sacramento in your honor, right? Because you're taking it over one side at a time. Interesting. You've done a great job, obviously, in shifting from phone sales to outside sales. But a lot of people, like you mentioned, find sales to be intimidating, let alone outside sales, going into construction sites and things like that. For obviously a lot of our viewers are in the construction space, but also they're also different people looking for different types of positions and things like
Mhm.
that. Would you mind giving us a view on like what your a typical day would be like for you and kind of what you find to be
Yeah.
exciting?
So I love outside sales. I like going to different sites. I like seeing when you're on one site and you repeatedly go there, the difference that the site is, right? So you start off, there's nothing
Mhm.
going on, and the next thing you know, they're vertical, and then everything's moving so quickly. I love seeing
Yeah.
that, and I think it's just because I have a little bit of a background in it, so you appreciate it more. Some people are just like, "Oh, wow,
Right.
cool building." I don't think of it like that. There's a lot that goes behind it, and it's really
Nice.
cool is that a lot of times our guys are on those projects, so we're making a difference in that project. So I like
Right.
that. But yeah, I go to the site first to get out of the car, put my hat on, put my vest on, start walking out. First, I have to locate For me, biggest problem is trying to find parking. I can never find parking on these sites. My biggest downfall.
Right, right.
Once I overcome that,
Well, especially in downtown, right? Like downtown Sacramento, all those
yeah, it's
sites are
hard.
so
It's like you gotta
like
off-road parking is not my strong suit right there. But I figure it out. And then once you're on the site, you have to find, the trailers, so you locate them. And you
yeah,
basically just act like you know what you're doing, right? You just gotta show up like you know who you're talking to. Hey, who's superintendent on site?
yeah,
Who's project manager? You're gonna find somebody who wants to talk to you. They don't know it
yeah.
yet. They do want to talk to you. But yeah, I don't think of it as intimidating or anything. First time, not gonna lie, it was kind of intimidating. But I had Eric with us that one time, so he
Nice.
showed me the ropes, and I was cool after that. So now I'm very confident
Yeah.
when I go, and sometimes I'm just an awkward person. So after I get that out of the way, we're ready to roll. But you just talk to
Right,
them.
right.
I'm not there to do business right out the gate. I like trying to find common denominators, interest, and whether it's talking about going fishing or hunting or tattoos, anything. But somehow
Right.
I always end up in my field, right? So construction, like, hey, like I get it. Like you're having a hard time finding people. I used to have that same problem when I was in roofing. Oh wow, you were in roofing? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no big deal though. And just the walls come down and you're friends. So I'm there to be your friend and then we'll do business. But unless you're cool with somebody, it's probably not going to happen. But you have to have that trust first. Once the trust is there, and then you're all good to go.
Nice. So for you then, is it become easier or is it pretty steady now? Like you kind of obviously after the parking, you kind of know to look to superintendents and then find the trailer and
Yeah.
then just kind of because a lot of people would find that very, especially the superintendent persona, right? For those that haven't worked with superintendents, they're the stereotype is obviously very straightforward, very not very friendly. But it sounds like you're saying it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have that problem. I love talking to them. But again,
Yeah,
I'm not a bad person. At first, sometimes they're like, hey, who are you? Why are you on my site? And then I'm like, don't worry, I'm not
yeah,
here to find you. I'm actually here to make your life better and a lot easier on your projects. And then
nice,
just let them know that, hey, like, we're here to assist you with all your hiring needs, whether it's general labor, skilled trades, cleaners, assistants, superintendents, project managers, anything like that. So no matter what, we have their back.
sweet. So obviously one of the things that's unique is we had you work on the recruiting side for the first few
Mm-hmm.
months to really kind of get a feel for that process. And it's been a fast-paced 90 days, and you've obviously done a great job in staying, keeping up, but not only kind of leading from the
Yeah.
pack from the front. If you had to tell some of your friends, like what are the two or three most memorable projects you worked on so far that you've been here? What are some of those projects that stand out to you?
Definitely top two is my first week when I got here was Florida hit with the hurricane. And it was,
Hmm.
hey, Jess, we have to get a boatload of people out to Florida and get them working for debris monitoring. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So first time recruiting, and I loved it. It was high volume, and that's kind of what I'm into. Wasn't
Yeah.
anything new for me to pick up the phone and start dialing hundreds of people in a day. So it was just like I was home
Right.
again, right? So to me, that was cool. I think for Florida, it was like we put 130 people to work or something like that. And then for
Yeah.
Colorado, all the other recruiters are basically busy and doing other things. And I was the one manning that project, me and another guy, and that was that. And we killed it. We put over maybe 250 people to work in Colorado for the migrant shelters from Texas to Colorado. So that was really cool to be
Yeah.
able to take everything from the first step all the way to the last step, which I loved it.
Right. Right. No, that's awesome. And for you, like one thing that was very obviously very impressive, you just kind of when you're in the zone, you're in the
Mm-hmm.
zone, and that is actually obviously, as I mentioned before, very very rare and hard to find. How do you get in the zone like that? Like, how do you when there's a task in front of you, especially something as challenging as calling, especially calling random people you've never met, things like that. Like, was that something skill that you built over time, or would you say
Yeah.
that's just something that was in you since the
Yeah,
beginning?
a little bit of both, right? So people are afraid of rejection and they don't want to be rejected. However, you're going to
Mhm.
get to about 10 no's before you get to one yes, anyways. So as long as I always
Right.
say, like, you're putting on a show for somebody. So if someone goes to a concert, they might have gone 10 times, but one person only went first time. You have to make sure that concert's great, or else they're never going to come back again. So you have to make it like
Right.
it's your first time every time. Because the time that you don't and you fail at your performance, that's that person that was going to say yes. So you basically just
Nice.
fooled yourself, right? So I always make
Yeah.
sure, like, hey, like, I'm going to be rejected and that's fine. But someone's going to like me and they're going to listen to me and it's going to be great. So that's what I always think about. So I just stay focused and think, like, hey, I'm going to get this person and I might get 10 of them in a row. I might get 20 of them. You never really know unless you
Right.
try.
And for you, as you're between them, do you mentally, like, when it's a good call, I would imagine that motivates you for the next
Mm-hmm.
one, right?
It does.
When it's a bad call, do you find yourself sort of doing a mind shift to go on to the next one, or are you just like a
Well,
machine and
you
just like
constantly have
boom,
to
no
mind
problem?
shift your point because you have to not sound robotic. So once you
Mm-hmm.
sound
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying the same thing over and over and over again, you're gonna sound tired and like you're
Yeah.
not interested and you're gonna not sell yourself. So you constantly have to sell
Right.
yourself. So you always have to shift your mind to put yourself like, hey, this is the person. Like this is what's gonna go on. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Well, that's really cool, and obviously those two have been two very impactful projects, and overall, like even for us as an organization, kind of learning about the success fee per hour model, especially being able to recruit and having that bandwidth, that was an amazing execution. Going back to some of the things that you were talking about in terms of the superintendents and business in your local area, what are you have any good stories of people you met, superintendents? Any funny stories about people you met, or any stories they've shared about other vendors they
Yeah,
use?
so one of the sites is actually really funny. I tell them, hey, we pre-vet our guys, so make sure they know what they're doing when they show up to the site. So they're not just here just to show up, but they actually have an idea what they're doing. And then he was like, hey, you single? You married? I'm like, no, I'm not married. And he was like, don't worry. He goes, you pre-vet my guys and I'll pre-vet the guys for you. And I was like, okay. So it was take the awkwardness out of it. And I love it. But yeah, I hear a lot of stories. And honestly, not a lot of it is about business because I don't like to have
Yeah.
to sell us. I want them to like me first, right? Once they like me and
Right.
they believe that, hey, I'm here for a reason, I believe in our brand. So this is why you should go with us. So if you're
Right.
there for a reason, they know it, you believe in yourself, they like you, they're going to do business with you at the end of the day. They may not know it right then
Yeah.
and there because they may not have a need for you at the moment, but you're
Yeah.
always in their head say, hey, I remember her, or like, hey, I remember Jess saying that she might have laborers ramping down for other projects. Let's give her a call. So
Yeah.
I'm always right there in the back of your head.
Nice. And you mentioned fishing, hunting. One of those is your
I
favorite, though, isn't
love to
it?
fish. Fishing is my favorite
Talk to
thing in
me.
the world to do. But I haven't gone out here because I
Okay.
don't know where to go. But
What was fishing like for you in the East
it's
Coast?
great. I love it. It's fun.
Is there like compared like for me, as you probably know, never fished a day in my
I'll
life,
take your fishing
but
trip.
I know people that have, and so I kind of actually I take that back. I have fished once, and I threw up so much, never went back again, which was like a year ago. But on the in this was under the Golden Gate Bridge, so it was salmon season. This was probably
Uh
two
huh.
years ago, right? Is that what was the fish of choice in the East Coast,
It
or like what was
depends
the
on where
most
you
common thing?
went. So if I was going salmon fishing, I would go upstate New York with my uncle, and we'd
Okay,
be in the river, which is really funny because every time we went fishing, it would be pouring out. So I always looked like a guy. I
nice.
had my hoodie up, I had a poncho on, I had my waders up to here. Like I did not look like a
Right.
female whatsoever until I had a fish on
Yeah.
my line. And when you have a fish, you had to go fish on. And then all of a sudden, like all the other guys are supposed to take their lines out the water so you don't, get each other's fish. And then they realized I was a
Yeah.
girl and they're like, whoa, because nobody else went. But it was fun.
Yeah.
But salmon fishing, I love to do. I spent the summer at my brother's house in North Carolina and I fished
Nice.
every single day. And it was the
That's
best summer of
awesome.
my life. And I remember I went fishing off the dock because nobody wanted to go fishing with me on the boat that day. So I said, fine, I'll just go by myself. So I went by myself. and I cast it out. I caught a drum, which I didn't expect to catch a big fish off the dock, so I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay.
So I didn't have a cooler that
Yeah.
was able to put a fish in it. So I went, I caught a fish, and I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and I said, I just caught a huge drum. And she goes, no, you didn't. I said, FaceTime me. She just FaceTime me. She started she's my photographer at that point. She started taking pictures of it.
Nice.
And I took the drum and I threw it in the back of my car because I was like, it's coming home with me. And they're like, you have nothing to put it in. I
Yeah.
said, it's fine. I'm like, you don't worry about things until you have to worry about them. That's what you can't stress about the small things in life. So I went home and my
Yeah.
brother
Yeah.
looked at me and he was like, what is that? I said, that's dinner. And he's like, oh no. I love it. It's fun time.
That's awesome. Well, we got to get you some time to get out here. Do you know where you'd want to go when you're
I have
out
no
here?
idea. I don't know any good spots, but listen, I'm going to find one and I'll drag you with me.
I'll drive you
Okay.
there and I'll just wait in the
That's
car.
fine. That's fine. We can do that too.
Awesome. Well, one other question for you is someone that has obviously done an amazing job transitioning from careers into sales. For those of our audience that are looking for a career move and things like that, for someone like yourself that has done different careers and done them well, like what are some tips you'd have for people looking for the next thing that they want to try out just because they haven't found what they're really into? What advice would you have?
I would just advise them to keep on trying things. If you don't like something, that's fine. You don't have to love it the first thing you do. I definitely didn't think I would enjoy construction. However, I did a couple things in construction and ended up loving it just because you
Mhm.
appreciate it more. You don't realize how many things in life you do that you have to know how to use tools. So I don't know, just keep trying things, keep applying to things. You're going to find something you like. It may not be the first thing, and you may not even think you like it at first. But if you stop doing it, you're going to realize, man, I kind of miss that. So you're going to end up being back in that field. So don't ever give it a hard no, but just keep trying.
I like that. When you're fishing and you've got your stereo on and you're not on the
Yeah.
phone, what are you listening to?
Everything and anything, I think. Basically.
Like rap, rock, country,
How
versus
about
jam,
like
like
today's
whatever's.
top 100 hits? I don't know. It's a little bit of
What'd you
everything.
say?
Sometimes there's some sad songs
Everything.
because then I'm like, my life's not that bad. That's how I think of things, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a weird chick, but it works. It works.
Nice. Okay. So there's whatever radio station or Spotify channel that just plays
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
Just music.
That's me.
Nice. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me on this Good People podcast. Great to have you on, and I really appreciate it. And again, you've done an amazing job. Obviously, the last 3 months, 2023, hopefully has been a year for you that's ending on a really high note. And looking forward to kicking some real butt in the Sacramento area. And for those of the people that want to kind of find out where you're at and email contact, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can text me. It's going to be 510-930-9880.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like your little man out there is
He's ready to go.
So,
He's been locked up.
well, again, hey, thanks for connecting and thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the other side.